I have now spent 3 years locking the in. I've lost well over 100 pounds, I've kicked multiple addictions, and I've drastically improved my financial situation. What I've noticed is people will tell you how to lock in. They'll tell you what to add to your life and what to remove. But most of them completely ignore the drastic hurdles that stop you from maintaining that discipline for the rest of your life. Anyone can get locked in for 2 months, 3 months, a year, even two. But getting locked in is all about self improvement that lasts a lifetime. But there's hurdles along the way that will stop people from becoming the person they're supposed to be. And so this is what I've learned. The chart of locking in looks like this. This is the reality. You consistently improve over time, your life gets better and better and better, and you improve. As humans, it is ingrained in us that we need to improve. We enjoy the journey as much as we enjoy the result. We constantly need to get better. It fuels us, it keeps us living, and it makes us feel fulfilled. But once you start to improve, especially when you've had an unhealthy diet, you've had substances in your life, and you've had mental disorders, depression, anxiety, when you transition out of that phase, you start to live life in a way that you never thought possible. You start to see yourself differently, and you hold yourself to a higher standard. But the issue happens when you make those transitions, all of a sudden you feel like you're on top of the world. And the chart instead begins to look like this. As your perception of yourself gets higher and higher, maintaining momentum at the same speed feels like going backwards. And as humans, when we go backwards, it severely demotivates us. And that is the most difficult hurdle in the long-term locking in adjustment, something that I've struggled with heavily, because you start to doubt yourself. One of the biggest fears when you first overcome those struggles is, what if I go back? And even when you are constantly improving, the first original changes were so drastic and so rewarding that once you just start to maintain that level of improvement, and it's not a drastic jump, you start to feel like you're not going anywhere. And you get to a point where you feel like maybe you just give up, because if you're not going anywhere, then why even try? And this is where my shift of looking at time as an exponent of results and not a measurement of duration has helped me. But then there's times where that's zero help. There are multiple of these stages along the way, and each one hits like a truck. It feels depressing, it feels fearful, it feels anxious, and you're just worried because the biggest fear of all is not just stopping momentum, it is plummeting downward and reversing everything. It is my personal biggest fear. And we're left at the stage where we can decide to continue to put one foot in front of the other, maintain our own momentum, or just give up, accept failure, accept the place that you're at. You already made drastic changes and improvements. I mean, hey, you can live a little, you can relax. And that's terrifying to me. Because when the world is looking at you as if you've done nothing, you've wasted your time, people around you are wondering why you're still doing the same things, and you're kind of wondering it too, then you're left with one option in my eyes. And that is double, triple, quadruple down. Maintain your momentum, give it everything, put all your eggs into that basket because you cannot afford to lose. Once you have made the initial change, you've shown that you can do it. Those initial changes are so difficult and dramatically life improving. But long term is this spread out horizon of difficulty, mental struggle, and questioning yourself. And questioning yourself is one of the most detrimental things. But if you can just have the tiniest ounce of delusional self-belief, I promise you it will carry you to new heights. And when you look at this chart, sure, it feels like you're moving backwards at times, and it can be so mentally, it can destroy you. It can. Because when you feel like you're moving backwards, it breaks you down. But the truth is, it is still exponentially better. 10 million, it is so much better than living the life that most people live. I fear being stuck in the trap that other people are. I fear not having freedom. I feel not holding myself to a higher standard. And I question that daily, if I will stick to it, if I will be able to maintain the path I am on. And I question it. But that is part of the process. And the biggest thing I learned is that without that questioning, without that struggle, without the years of putting something into it, without any results, then you just never will actually experience the gratification of the results. If you aren't where you want to be, then there is something else you need to learn and something else you need to do. But what you cannot do, what I beg you to not do, is give up. You cannot give up on yourself, because how are you going to look everyone else in the eye and tell them what they should do? How are you going to help them if you gave up on yourself? If you're going to tell yourself you're going to show up to something every day until you reach a goal and you give up, how the hell are you going to do that? Because if that was someone else in your life that told you they would be there and they weren't, you would not speak to them. You would not be a part of their life. But for some reason, people think it's okay to do to themselves. Life is difficult. Life is struggle. We're hit with these life catastrophic changes constantly. But as we continue to attack them, to build on them, to defend ourselves and build ourselves into a person that can handle these challenges, we realize locking the fuck in is all about changing who you are. Sure, there are steps and processes you can implement, but it's about you being the type of person that stands up and says, I will not quit. I will not fail. I will just keep continuing to chase my goal, because that is the only thing that will make me the person I want to be. If you can look yourself in the eyes and say, I did not quit, that is the most rewarding thing to me, more than anything else. Because everyone else will think you're failing, and you might too at times. But when you keep working towards your goal, it becomes a question of when and not if. So keep chasing that goal. I believe in you, delusionally, even if you don't.